China is the world's largest exporter of goods and services. Well, now it is exporting COVID 19 too. As a massive corona wave hits China, the country is sending COVID infected flights across the world. After the zero COVID policy, this is China's export COVID campaign, which has now officially received approval from the European Union. Hi and welcome. You're watching India's World. We discuss geopolitics here. Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon for more interesting videos. Remember Milan 2 years back when people were dying like flies on the road? Hospitals were overcrowded and medical facilities got paralyzed. Well, looks like China is adamant about pushing Italy back into the COVID black hole. The same city recently reported that 50% of all arrivals from China on two flights tested positive for COVID 19. Now, Italian authorities are testing all passengers arriving from China, even those who are transiting via the country. So far, so good, right? But Italy's decision to safeguard itself from China's COVID bomb has rattled the European Union. Can you believe it? EU has termed Italy's decision to screen Chinese passengers as an unjustified move. EU has argued that EU won't be impacted by the China virus. It says the COVID-19 variants circulating in China are already circulating in the EU, and people in Europe have better immunity thanks to vaccination and booster shots. But how can EU be so sure that China is not exporting any new deadly variant to Europe? The US and WHO are worried that China is not sharing enough data with the world. There is no transparency. The US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, in a statement Wednesday, said the lack of transparency from China could delay the identification of new COVID variants that pose a great threat to public health. China is sharing very few genomic sequences used to identify such variants, according to the CDC. The World Health Organization has also urged China's health officials to regularly share specific real-time information on the country's COVID surge. But China has seemingly turned a blind eye toward these concerns. China has stopped sharing daily COVID figures with the world. China's National Health Commission published its most recent daily COVID data on 24 December. This is a crime. As per WHO, China has refrained from sharing genetic sequencing data, data on hospital admissions, ICU admissions and deaths, and data on vaccination status and vaccination delivered. So, this is really dangerous. British MP Tobias Ellwood, the chair of the Commons Defence Select Committee, said in a statement, "We should be taking our own precautionary measures. We don't know what variants of COVID have developed in China over the last 3 years of lockdown. Any dithering leaves us as a hostage to fortune." If this statement is not enough for EU to mend its mistake, it can also follow India's and Japan's suit to deal with China. In India, people travelling from China and 4 other Asian countries must produce a negative COVID test before arriving, with those who test positive put in quarantine. In Japan, from Friday, travellers from China will be tested for COVID upon arrival. Those who test positive will have to quarantine for up to 7 days. Malaysia has put additional tracking and surveillance measures in place. Meanwhile, Taiwan has said people arriving from China by air or sea will have to take COVID tests on arrival throughout January. Even European nations, including France, Spain, and Italy, have imposed restrictions on China. Shame on the EU for prostrating before China. China can't be trusted this time. The world made a mistake 2 years back, but it seems EU is repeating it.
India's World, telling the right side of the story.